This is Sarah Goulash. I am a music educator, entrepreneur, songwriter, and I'm so lucky to be joined by Kat Reinert, who is my incredible collaborator and also one of my biggest inspirations. Kat, I don't know if you want to say anything.
Yeah, I'm excited in the same way. Sarah is a huge inspiration to me, and we work together on this as well as several other things. And yeah, just super excited to be here today and to share this workshop with all of you. So thanks for coming.
Kat and I, we try to find lots of ways to share content with folks, whether it's, free content on our social medias or workshops like this, but we do also have some other options for digging deeper into songwriting, and we'll share more about that after the workshop. So why original songs? Kat and I are so passionate about songwriting, and especially at the K to 12 level. I am a full-time high school teacher, and I do songwriting with all of my classes, including traditional ensembles like orchestra and other elective ensembles. I think the idea of using original songs for our classroom is really important. It can be that we just struggle to find works that work for us and our students. It might be that you want to grow in your personal creativity and explore songwriting. It might be that you want to encourage your students' personal creativity to explore songwriting. It might be that you want to connect your classroom practices to what's happening at the industry level. And so, if we only have these programs where we're performing pieces that other people wrote, we don't get to see really the creative process behind songwriting that people go through who have songs on the radio and who have songs on sites that we're purchasing for our schools. I think another really important thing that Kat and I experience on a daily basis with students is that connecting to our students' social and emotional needs is paramount, and doing that through songwriting, it happens so naturally, right? If you're asking students to create songs about memories or feelings or a specific topic like we're doing today, you'll find that they really do share what's happening inside of them. Also, it's fun. When you're starting an original song, you never know where it's going to go, especially with kids, especially with students. And so our goal is to empower you today to create songs that can kind of transform both your own identity as a musician, a creative musician, and then also your teaching practice. So we're going to do a little case study with my co-host Kat Reinert, and this will kind of explain why we specifically chose to do a workshop on winter songs.
So, oh gosh, this was probably 10, 12 years ago. I was teaching at a school in the Bronx, and I had six first grade classes and like, I don't know, four fourth grades and about, I don't know. It was like kindergarten through sixth grade, or was the demographic of the school. And that was kind of like what I was teaching. And they asked me to put on a holiday or winter concert. And I just had, at that point, I'd gotten really tired of all of the same material, because I either had to pick something from all of the different holidays and make it very, well-rounded, or it had to be all secular. And I'd kind of sung all of those songs like ad nauseum, and the kids had heard some of them, but I just really wanted to, I don't know, I was in a place where I was like, I just want to do something different. And so I actually went home kind of just to write a few songs that I could add to the concert. And then I ended up writing 9 secular winter songs. And they ran the gamut from like some stuff like Grounded on the Last Day of December and Kickin' These Winter Blues were kind of more for some of the older kids. And I eventually made like a choral arrangement for Kickin' These Winter Blues. And then the rest of them were a lot for the first graders. And so really paying attention to like where their learning was, what they were kind of interested in, and also really delving into different kinds of like genres and styles of music, because a lot of the things that I was finding in the holiday music didn't really cover the musical interests of the students I was working with. And so I think this is the impetus for this workshop of just, thinking about who you're teaching and what their interests are and where they're at, in learning and musically as well, like where they're at learning music and what they're able to handle versus like what grade you're teaching. and engaging students in writing songs for winter, or, and this could apply to songs for spring, songs for summer, songs for, it's winter, so we're doing winter songs. But that's kind of the reason. And I mean, there's a country song, there's a Latin kind of jazz tune, there's a bossa nova, there's a swingy jazz tune, there's like a kind of tune that sounds like a klezmer tune. And all of those things were things that I was trying to expose my students to and share with them all this really cool sounds. And we could talk about all that kind of stuff too. So I think there's a lot of opportunity to create stuff for your students and really make it work for them. So
yeah, and I think if you look at any Facebook forum for music education, one of the top questions is, what do we do for a winter concert? Or what do we do in the winter time? Because we want the rep to be themed, but at the same time, we want to be inclusive. And like Kat was saying, we want to meet our students where we're at. So we hope that this idea, even if you don't do this before the end of 2021, the winter is still going to go on beyond that point. And so this might even be a great thing to try when you come back in January with your students. So today's workshop is going to be based on a pitch or a song prompt or a lesson idea, however you want to call it, about writing winter songs. That is hard to say. So we're going to take you through an analysis process, an idea generation process, and then we'll show you how to keep going. We won't get through an entire song during this session, but we'll give you the tools that you need to get through the rest of it. And we'll also be emailing out tomorrow a PDF handout with this entire process on it, bulleted step by step, that you could even use with your students. So don't worry about furiously taking notes. All of this will be handed out to you. We're going to look at common characteristics of winter songs. We'll be developing lyrics using a pitch, which we're calling the winter word write. We're going to explore top lining and how you can develop melodies over pre-existing tracks. This is a great connection to industry, which we were talking about in the beginning. And then we'll discuss how you could turn this into a lesson plan with your students, or just something you do for your students, how to extend this. So the first thing that we're going to do is analyze winter songs and come up with some common ideas. This is going to be our only group portion of this workshop. So we are going to ask you to split into small groups. I'll be putting you in breakout rooms. And your goal is to, in the course of 5 minutes, identify as many different components on this list as you can. So the question is, what do winter songs have in common? We want you to think about lyrics. What is happening lyrically in winter songs? And you can think about secular songs or religious songs. Like, what are the common themes that we hear in winter specific songs? How do the melodies function? If you turn on a holiday radio, what do you notice that the melodies have in common? And you can kind of, look through your Spotify or YouTube and listen to some things as well. What do you notice about chord progressions? Can you find any common threads? And rhythm and groove? What do you notice about rhythm? For example, I think sleigh bells are a pretty sure sign that we're listening to a winter song. We hear that in a lot of the rhythms of winter music. So there's no right or wrong answer. You're just trying to, as a group, brainstorm and come up with as many commonalities as possible.
And sorry. Oh, and to add to that too, I mean, also thinking about like what's missing in some of them that you might want for your students, going back to why one of the reasons I created some of the stuff we were doing is, and what we're talking about is looking for those common things, but then also looking for like, well, what things might I also want that aren't in these, right, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so again, that's our analysis part. We do, like we said before, a lot of analysis when it comes to songwriting, not just diving in and creating. Sometimes that's the case, but we think it's really helpful to always listen to examples and really dig into them before we even jump into creation. So
and before we do that, hang on just a sec. I think too, like having your students do this kind of work too is super important. Like giving them not 5 minutes, but giving them like 20 minutes to go, or playing, like if they're kind of new to songwriting or kind of new to the idea of analysis, playing them in the class, like putting together like a little playlist or some sort of reel where there's kind of like little snippets of songs and playing them, and then having a discussion about, well, what do you notice? And like, because that can give your students a place to start when they're thinking about writing too, or when they're thinking about like, like what the lyrics are kind of like or about. And I think that can be a really interesting space to really engage with your students as well as with yourself in terms of what you're writing. Yeah, did anybody have anything like I'd love to see some in the chat. That would be amazing.
Mhm.
Um,
Love it. Andrea, weather, food and drink, snow, fireplace. Yes, holidays. Melodies often friendly.
mm,
Hey, I like that term, friendly. Upbeat, ballads, nostalgia. I think nostalgia is really big. Just that theme of looking back and thinking through the years and memories. Um, evoke feelings. That's a beautiful list.
it's amazing.
Well, yeah.
And I love that the harmony is simple because it often is not super complicated. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome. Thanks
thanks.
for sharing that. So we're gonna do a process that starts with lyrics. When I just want to put this out there, when you're doing songwriting, there's no right or wrong way to start. I'm not sure what the experience is on the Zoom chat, if you've written songs before, if you've not written songs, but if you read any book examining songwriters' processes, you'll notice that no two songwriter has the same exact process, and no songwriter, even within their own songs, has the same exact process. I know Kat would say the same. Every song I've written starts in a different way. So for today, we're starting with lyrics. And I think for something like a winter song, lyrics are a great place to start because we already have such a strong theme. And so theme might lend itself to some words. And then from there, we're going to explore like melody and harmony through top lining. So this very first exercise is a brainstorm. We're calling this a winter word, right? And so you're going to have 5 minutes writing down as many winter themed words you can think of. So this is definitely stream of consciousness. Let your brain make all sorts of crazy connections. It doesn't all have to be nouns, doesn't matter what part of speech it is. The point is that you just get down as many words as possible. So I'm going to set our timer for 5 minutes. Kat and I will be doing this alongside you. And at the end of 5 minutes, we'll come back and do the next part.